Hello everyone. Today I'm going to tell you why the Datsun 620 4x4 was a game changer back in the 70s. Now, to understand why the 620 was a game changer back in the 70s, you have to look at what the truck market looks like today. Now today you don't see any single cab trucks like this one. You see double cabs, and more than 60% or about 60% of all new trucks are purchased with four-wheel drive. Back in the day it wasn't the case. And you also see special racing editions like the Ford Raptor, TRD Pros, ZR2s, etc. So that's the kind of market that you see today. And I'm here to tell you that it started with the Datsun 620. Now, to understand the market today and why the 620 was such a game changer, we have to go back to what the market was like before the 620. So if you look at the 60s, there was the domestic trucks, and then Datsun or Nissan first came into the US with their little 320, which gave the way to the 520 and the 521. And Toyota brought in the Hilux in the late 60s. But they weren't really competitors because they were really tiny, small engines, more like toy trucks. They were not really that competitive against the US manufacturers. But it all changed in the 1970s because there was the oil crisis. New regulations came into effect for safety, for gas mileage, for emissions. So the big year was 1972 when Datsun introduced the 620, Toyota introduced the Hilux. Ford didn't have a small truck, so they went to Mazda and they introduced the Ford Courier. Chevy also didn't have a small truck, so they went to Isuzu and they got the LUV, LUV. And those are all introduced in 1972. But in 1974, 75 is when Datsun and Toyota got the big blocks. Datsun got the L20 and Toyota got the 20R. And also at that time, a guy by the name of Spencer Lowe and a company called Lowe Manufacturing started racing the Datsun 620 in Baja. And they produced a 4x4 conversion for the Datsun 620 and raced it in Baja. And that gave way to other conversions like Toyota. There was some conversion kits also for the Hilux, but really the one that got the most visibility was the Datsun because it was racing in desert racing. Now the manufacturers saw this as a great opportunity, and in 1979 everyone introduced a 4x4 version of their truck. Toyota with the Hilux, Datsun introduced the 720, and Chevy introduced the LUV with four-wheel drive. Ford didn't come into the game because they were replacing the Ford Courier with the Ford Ranger. They already had their trucks in the works, and those trucks would be the Chevy S10 and the Ford Ranger, and those were offered in four-wheel drive. Another innovation that the Datsun 620 brought was in 1977 when they introduced the King Cav version. The original purpose of the King Cav was to expand on cargo space and give you like a little bit more leg room. Now that paved the way to what we know now as the four-door truck. Toyota didn't follow until 1984 on the fourth generation Hilux. Chevy had a version of the S10 that was extended cab in 83, and Ford didn't come out with the extended cab until 86. So Datsun was the first one, and now you see four-door trucks, and it all came from the Datsun 620. Now, as you might recall, the Datsun 620 was being raced by Spencer Lowe in the 1970s, 1975. Well, Nissan went to support their racing efforts, and they partnered with not only Spencer Lowe but other racers, and with that partnership they won a lot of championships. So much so that in 1988 Datsun, or at that time it was called Nissan now, they came up with the Nissan PreRunner. The Nissan PreRunner in the way of the D21 hardbody. This was a special edition, really cool truck. Only a few were made, but that shows you that Datsun, Nissan had a hand in racing way before anyone else, and that paved the way to the trucks that we know today as the Ford Raptor, Toyota TRD, etc., etc. So Nissan was the OG back in 1988 with this truck. So there you go. That's why I think the Datsun 620 is a game changer. They were the first ones with four-wheel drive, thanks to Spencer Lowe, and that led the way to the four-wheel drive trucks that we know today in the small truck segment. They came out with the King Cav, which led the way to the extended cab, and then the four-door trucks that we know today. And they had a racing heritage that they brought to the consumer market in the Nissan hardbody PreRunner of 1988. Now, what do you think? Did I miss anything? Are there some facts that I missed that maybe point to a different direction, a different truck that was as significant as the 620? Let me know in the comments below. So thanks again for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. So let me address the chicken in the room, as it were, or more specifically the chicken tax. Now, those of you that know about automotive history, especially light trucks, know that in the 60s the US administration imposed a tax on light duty vehicles coming into the US. And so that created some challenges, maybe some opportunities for the companies that were bringing small trucks to the US. Now, if the chicken tax had not existed, would the truck market be any different? Probably. Would Datsun or Nissan or Toyota be dominant? We don't know. But suffice to say that the chicken tax had a way of manipulating the market to what it became, and so it's what we have to work with.